Hello everyone. Today we are back with the answers of the previous test named fractures of the upper limb. So coming to the first questions, we have a fracture of the right middle 2/3 and distal 1/3 shaft of humerus. It is an oblique fracture, as we can see here. It's an oblique fracture, and the key here is that it is presented with a radial nerve injury post close reduction. So the classical description of this type of fracture is Holstein-Lewis fracture. It's a very easy question, and no one should miss the answer to this question. Coming to the next case, we have a fracture of the distal third of the radius, as which we can see here. Along with that, there is a significant gap in the distal radio-ulnar joint. So this significant gap explains that it has got a distal radio-ulnar joint subluxation. So anything which a distal radius fracture with distal radio-ulnar joint subluxation is pointing out towards a Galeazzi fracture. A Galeazzi fracture. The third question, there is it's just opposite to the Galeazzi fracture, where we can have a proximal 1/3 of ulna fracture along with radial head dislocation. So it's a Monteggia fracture. Monteggia fracture. Now, when we come for the fourth question, it's a bit tricky one. Here you have to actually appreciate the unit column of the distal radius, and you have to find that there is some sort of depression along the column. So it's basically a die punch fracture. And the fifth question is also a name fracture, where this fragment is known as the radial styloid fragment. This whole fragment is known as the radial styloid fragment, and this styloid fragment has gone off, avulsed off, so it is known as a Schoffer fracture. Then we have a classical description of the supracondylar humerus fracture, which I'm sure almost every one of you have done correctly in the test. Supracondylar humerus fracture, and we have a Gartland classification for this. It's a most common childhood fracture with a fall and outstretched hand. The next few set of questions are basically some trick questions where you have both the distal radius, all involving the distal radius fracture. And first of all, I'm going to describe it, and then I'll give you a very shortcut formula on how you can attempt all these questions in the exams. First of all, what you have to do when you are coming for the distal radius fracture, you just have to follow a simple mnemonic. And the mnemonic is that first find out whether it is an intra-articular involvement or not. Intra-articular means it is communicating with the joint or not. If it is yes, that means it is a Barton fracture. If it is no, and there is no intra-articular involvement, that means that you are out of the distal radius fracture, Barton zone, and all those things. So you have to go towards the next possible outcomes, which are usually Colles fracture and Smith fracture. So then you have to see the displacement. See the displacement of the distal fragment. Because in orthopedics, whatever displacement we see or describe, it is always with respect to movement of the distal fragment as compared to the proximal one. So we have to see the displacement of the distal fragment. If the distal fragment has been displaced dorsally, 100% it is a Colles fracture. If it is displaced volary, then you have Smith fracture. Again, for the intra-articular fracture, we can go and discuss. But see, it's a simple case. There's a distal radius fracture, possibly ulnar styloid avulsion also, and this is the line, and the distal fragment has been displaced dorsally. So this dorsal displacement, and there is no intra-articular fragment. When you see and trace this whole line, the whole line appears to be smooth. The fracture is around 4 to 5 centimeter before the distal radius. So it is a Colles fracture. And similarly, the same question for the next. I've given this because it's also very important for everyone to know. The distal fragment here is displaced volary. It is not displaced dorsally, it is displaced volary. So it is Smith fracture. It's very easy to identify all these things once you have a basic trick. Here also, see, there's a distal radius fracture, but here the key is this whole thing. If you see, there's a small portion of the portion which is communicating with the intra-articular joint. This whole thing is communicating with the joint. So it is basically a Barton fracture. So when you see all this, and when you realize what is going on, it's very easy. First of all, find out whether the distal radius, any intra-articular component is there or not. Once you get that it's an intra-articular component, go straight, it's a Barton fracture, matter finish. If it is not there, you have to look whether there is a displacement of the fragment or not. And then where is the displacement, whether it is dorsally displaced or it is volary displaced. And then you can find out. The last question is very easy. It's basically on the fifth metacarpal fracture, and it is known as the Boxer's fracture. So that is the end of the answer session for this test. We'll be giving more tests, and subsequently I'll be uploading more videos. Stay tuned to our channel. Thank you.